So good morning, everyone from India. This side, Dr. SHRI-VASTAV. I am professor and head of Department of Civil Engineering, Graphic Era University, located in Dehradun. And today I am going to talk on tips for timely execution of the PhD research work. So when it comes to tips, don't get confused with tricks. Okay. So before I start my presentation, it's my responsibility to introduce my university and my department. About Graphic Era University, it was established in the year 1996 as Graphic Era Institute, and it was accorded the status of deemed university under Section 3 of UGC Act 1956 through notification dated 14th August 2008, and it was approved by Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. And in 2015, Graphic Era University was accredited by NAC with grade A. Graphic Era, deemed to be university, has been conferred All India NIRF ranking. Okay, and since last 3 consecutive years, we are among the top 100 universities in India as an abode of learning and excellence, surpassing all parameters of assessments like teaching, learning, research, graduation outcome, outreach, industrial presence, and more for Indian institutions of higher education. Talking about Department of Civil Engineering was established in the year 2007 and has grown over years into one of the finest centers of training in the field of civil engineering. Department offers 4-year course leading to bachelor degree in civil engineering and 2 years course leading to masters in 2 major specializations of civil engineering: structural engineering and geoinformatics engineering. As well as we offer PhD and part-time and full-time PhD program in the department. So this is all about NIRF 2022 ranking, which was released yesterday in the afternoon. And I'm proud to announce that Graphic Era University has ranked 74 in university category and 64 in engineering category, as well as 65 rank in management category. So we are among the top 100 institutions in India as per government ranking. This is about me and my research profile. I have published so far 49 Scopus Index journal publications having citation 844 and H index 16. In Google Scholar, the total citation is 1263 with H index 18 and I-10 index 29. Now coming to the topic of my presentation, let's start. I will be talking about PhD. Okay, this is the highest academic degree that is achieved by any individual. Okay, after BTech, MTech, and like post-graduation, and then you go for PhD program. Now, when it comes to PhD, lot of things that come into mind. Like, first of all, the first question that normally is asked, like, why do you want to do PhD? Okay, what is the motivation? So to get the motivation from the participants, I actually shared one question on Mentimeter, and then I just thought of having response from you. So let me share the response with you. Can you see my screen? So this is the response from your side. Many of you want to do PhD because you have passion, you have interest, you want to grow in the professional field, you want to apply the innovation or innovative ideas that you have, or you want to get doctorate, you want to have okay, satisfaction, then contribution to society, contribution to science. So it's excellent. It's really excellent that you are very much clear on what exactly you want to do in your PhD. Let me see if people can mute themselves so that I don't get disturbed. Okay, so this was good. I was really excited to see the response from you. Now come back. Let me come back to my presentation. Okay, so the content of my presentation is on motivation and preparatory work that you have to do for your PhD program, then tips for timely execution of PhD work, factors that affect PhD work, and timeline for the PhD work. So these four are the major component of my today's presentation. So let me start one by one. Coming to the preparatory work, like we all understand that lot of counseling and mentoring is done at UG and PG level, is it not? Like we really want to understand, but then when it comes to PhD, people normally don't talk or discuss about the PhD scholars or the life of PhD scholar, and because of that, they are left in very mysterious and vague path. Okay, this was the situation long back, but now I understand that majority of the institutions have started research methodology courses or seminar presentations, art of seminar. So things are coming up, but then still a lot of confusions are there among the PhD scholars. And we require extensive mentoring and coaching for PhD scholars because this is a long-term commitment. PhD is a long-term commitment. It is not a coursework. Please try to understand the difference between a course work program like BTech or MTech or BSc, MSc. These are the coursework. Like you have to do coursework, you have to do project, and then after that you get the degree when you qualify for the degree by earning the required number of credit. But here PhD is something different. So the first thing that we should definitely answer before entering or getting into this PhD program, because in most of the situation cases after PhD you try to enter into the academics, okay, and PhD is considered as entry gate to academics, although in India the norms are still relaxed and even after post graduation you can get into the academics, but then after a certain duration like 3 years you have to enroll for the PhD program, otherwise you face challenge in getting promotions like from assistant professor to associate or professor level. So these challenges are there. So you are given an opportunity to enroll for the PhD program immediately after joining academics, after your post graduation. Similarly, government is taking a lot of initiative to motivate the existing teachers to get PhD, and because of that, we have seen a lot of surge in the PhD enrollment in the recent years. But then without proper planning, and what is happening because of that, a lot of withdrawals is also there, like a lot of withdrawal, like 50 or 100 students will enroll for the program, but then after that 50% will withdraw because there is no proper planning, there is no proper academic arrangement for the PhD scholars. And when I tried to categorize the response that I have received from you, so I found that there are 3 major categories in which your motivation for the PhD program can be defined, like intellectual curiosity, that is one thing, non-academic careers, and some people may think that it's the only choice for them because they want promotion or they want recognition or something like that. Okay, so when it comes to preparatory work, motivation is very important because you have to maintain that for the next 4, 5, or 6 years. So that motivation should always be a driving factor for you to do PhD. Why do you want to do PhD? You should be very clear. Then after that, the broad research area and specific field in which you are willing to do research. It should be your field of interest. Okay, that normally leads to the title of the thesis, but then the research area, field of research, or the area in which you are really interested, you should get into that area for your PhD program. It should not be market driven. Okay, it should be your inner call. Then literature review. You have to do a lot of literature review to understand the national and international status of the work. So these are the preparatory work that you have to do. Literature review is very important. It's a foundation, because I'm a civil engineer. I understand that the importance of foundation for a superstructure. So the literature review is considered as the foundation work for the PhD. Then from the literature review, you try to identify the research gap. And majority of students, they are actually confused. They get confused on this point, that how to identify the research gap. Research gap, because when you identify 5 to 6 or 7 research gaps, out of those 5, 6, 7 research gaps, you fix 3 to 4 objectives for your research. You cannot work on all research gaps, okay? Because you have to finish your PhD in time, in 3 years or 4 years of time, depending upon your enrollment, like whether you have enrolled for full time or whether you have enrolled for part-time PhD. You have to finish your PhD in that time duration. So the challenge is how to identify the research gap. So whenever you read a manuscript, whenever you refer to a manuscript, and here also it is very important, when you refer a manuscript, in one of my sessions I told that you should see the citation of that manuscript. How many people are referring to that manuscript? Because citation is very, very important. For a manuscript, you should only refer those manuscripts that has at least 100 plus citations. So how to find the research gap? Research gap can be identified based on the assumptions or the limitations of the studies that has been made in any manuscript which is published. So whenever I read a manuscript, I try to identify the assumptions that are made by the author or the limitations of the studies that is mentioned by the author. So that actually helps me identifying the research gap, because that assumptions will be my future scope, or that limitation of work will be my future scope for the research. Okay, so identify 5, 6, 7 research gaps, and after that fix 3, 4 objectives based on the input that you get from your expert, supervisor, or based on the infrastructure facilities or support system that you have. We will discuss at the end that there are more than 48 factors are there, and you have to analyze each and every factor if you want to get your PhD done on. Then you have to work on your research methodology, your research work plan that required tools and techniques, also budget. How much budget is required for a PhD? Sometimes you want to purchase an equipment, okay, and that equipment may cost 1.5 lakhs to 2 lakhs. Then that provision should be there in your PhD work. The budgetary provision should be there in your PhD work. Everything should be known in advance to your supervisor, to you also, that this much is going to be the cost of my PhD. Then timeline, which is very important. It should be prepared. And timeline should be prepared not just for filing purpose. It should be prepared to follow. So there is no point in preparing a timeline if it is not followed. So once you have decided that you want to go for PhD, you have to seek information about the PhD program. So you have to you have to talk to a lot of people, you have to discuss with people, and please don't wait for someone to come and explain. because you know that everybody is busy like you. So you have to get a lot of information. There is always a research ordinance in any institution. So read that research ordinance carefully. That will explain all the expectations from your PhD work. And many students also get confused. Like they say that, "See, this is just a continuation of my undergraduate program." But please note, your PhD program is not simply a continuation of your undergraduate program. It is not a coursework and not a problem statement that will be given to you like a tutorial exercise where you can follow the steps and then you can solve the problem. The problem statement given to you is like contribution to the academic world. So you should think in that direction. Then sometimes it is suggested that take a break. Because see, as I mentioned, that PhD program is a commitment, 4-5 years of commitment. So sometimes the students feel that they should take a break of 1 to 2 years before they actually jump into this PhD. So it is always good because 1 or 2 years you just uh, go here and there, and then finally when you realize that now PhD is really important and you should do that, then only you come back and get into this program. And your current area of study does not dictate what you have to study in graduate school. So make your research your own research. I know many examples where the undergraduate or postgraduate program or studies are different, but then PhD is entirely different. They've chosen an entirely different area of research based on the interest. Then make sure the PhD program has a variety of research options. And research groups. That actually motivates you. When you see others are working, then you also motivate yourself to work. Okay. And then location. I'll discuss in detail that how this location is important for you. Or whether location is important or recognition, name. So when you go for the PhD, you first think about the reputation of the university, people with whom they have worked. But they don't think that how and where they are going to spend their 5 to 6 years during their PhD and what priority they have. These are the challenges. So do you need a city's atmosphere to be productive, or you need an ideal location around forest, mountains, or beach? Or your family is important, so you want to be close to your family. So everything is important. Like suppose you are not doing research for a certain duration, then you want to be with your family. What activities you will do, how often you will want to visit your family. So everything is important. But for me, if you ask, it is important to have research collaborations and professional connections during your PhD program. 4-5 years, you should invest on this aspect. Forget about everything. Just focus on collaboration and connections. This is going to help you. Time management is very important. And we all understand that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. So there's no issue. Even sometimes you have to sacrifice on certain issues that you have prepared a timeline, then you have to sacrifice on certain things. But even if it is not, suppose you have created a timeline and you're not able to follow, then don't panic, because sometimes things don't go according to the plan, and you may expect some delays, but then it should not be delayed too much, is it not? Because finally you should target your PhD to be completed in 3 to 4 years. Then expect to learn research skills. This is very important. So how you can how you can improve your research skills? If you have got the habit of writing proposals, research proposals, fellowships, writing scientific papers. Okay, so you have to actually immerse yourself in lot of activities of writing to improve your writing skills. Okay, if you attend conferences, you establish connections, because I mentioned that your collaborations and connections are very important in your research work. So that is only possible when you attend conferences. You meet professionals, you meet people who are working in the same field, same area. And I personally know many of my PhD scholars got benefited because of that. Because in a conference, people from different part of the globe, they can attend. So you should try to attend the good quality conference where people from different part of the world come and attend. Because that's the only opportunity that you have to meet a person who is from US, UK, or some other Australia, or some other country. Because they all will be coming at the same place. So don't miss that opportunity. And there is no formal training on this. So you have to learn these things by doing yourself. Nobody can give you a training on establishing connect or establishing collaboration. And please remember, PhD is not a 9 to 5 job. So you work whenever you have get time, maybe midnight or morning or evening, whenever you have time, you do the work. Then I will be also giving some tips for timely execution of your PhD work. Let me just check. I think it is stuck somewhere. Let me stop sharing and restart again. Okay. So, yes. Let me share my screen. So I was talking about tips for timely execution of the PhD work. Can you see my slide now?
Yes.
Okay. So the important point is you should learn how to write a funding project. Okay. So you should learn basically. Write a research proposal, submit to the funding agency through your supervisor. That will help you getting the financial support. Suppose you have estimated a budget for your PhD and it costs around 25 lakhs or 30 lakhs or more than that, then it is always good to write a research proposal, submit to the funding agency and get the financial support from the funding agency, because normally institutions hesitate to spend that much money on a on a PhD research. Okay. Second thing is you have to purchase softwares, uh, developing experimental setups or performing field studies. For everything you need a financial support. So even after writing, suppose you are not submitting, it's always a good idea to write a proposal, because whatever research proposal you write for a funding agency, the same format is followed to write a research proposal for your work that will be submitted to your department committee or school committee, who will be approving your research proposal or research plan. So there is a connect between the two. The format which is followed for a research proposal to be submitted in the funding agencies is same as the format which is followed to prepare your research research proposal. So even if it doesn't go there, at least it will go here in committee and you will easily get the approval for your research plan. Then writing is very important. Like, you have to develop a skill how to write. So you have to immerse yourself in writing. Normally people think that, okay, I'll finish all my work and then I will start my writing. This is not a great idea, because you don't know when the idea will click in your mind. So as soon as something clicks in your mind and you think that you can write one page or two page or one paragraph, just write that. Immediately you write and save it in your desktop or computer or laptop, because that one paragraph or one page is going to help you when you will start writing this. Second thing is, whatever you write should be original. So don't simply copy paste the content and try to remove the plagiarism. Don't do that, because you will be wasting a lot of time. And this has become the culture. I don't know why this has become the culture. You ask your student to write a manuscript and they will just download one manuscript, they will copy paste and give you. When you check the plagiarism, it will come 80%, 90%. They don't want to write on their own. But as a PhD scholar, you should develop that habit of writing on your own. You can read as many manuscripts you want, but then when it comes to writing, you should write only what you have understood, because if you have understood certain thing, you will be able to explain the same thing to others also. Something that you have not understood, you will not be able to explain. Okay, we all understand that Google has made our life simple, but then you should use this facility very judiciously. So make a habit of writing and storing the same thing in your hard disk, because as I mentioned that it can be utilized in future whenever it is required. In your thesis writing or in your manuscript writing, it is going to help you. Then you have to find a strong mentor. See, don't be afraid of critical reviews or feedback, because this is very much important in your PhD. And those who think that there people are creating hurdles in your life by giving critical comments or critical feedback, then you are on the wrong path. So you have to surround yourself with learned people. Discuss what they have done, what you have done, and get feedback. Get timely feedback. And best way of getting timely feedback is whatever you have done on your objective, prepare a manuscript and then submit it to a journal, good quality journal. So if it gets reviewed by the person who is a third party person, okay, so your work will be reviewed automatically by a person who is reviewing your manuscript. So that helps a lot because you get timely feedback of the work done. You get the timely feedback of the uh, manuscript that you have written, and that actually helps you in improving your work immediately. You don't have to wait. Suppose you have spent 3 years, 4 years of time, and then after that you start writing your manuscript, and then you submit it for the review. Then again, it will take 1 or 2 years because it takes time. Even review of manuscript takes time. Review of manuscript means review of your work, and they will give constructive comments to improve your manuscript, and thereby you will be going to improve your work. So don't work in isolation. Don't think that you are working for it. You are working to going to win for a Nobel Prize. Okay. And please remember, a friend always praising and saying all is well. That friend is good for tracking, not for your PhD work. Okay. So कबीरदास जी कह के गए थे कि निंदक नियरे राखिए आंगन कुटी छवाए बिन पानी साबुन बिना निर्मल करे सुभाए. सो अपने आसपास उन लोगों को रखिए जो लर्नेड पीपल हैं, जो आप those who can give feedback, those who can critically review your progress, critically review your work. Don't let them go. Okay. This is very important. You have to grow your skin very thick because unless your skin is thick, you will not be able to handle the constructive criticism on research design, manuscript writing. So it is always good to be in bad mood. But then come out as soon as possible and then learn from the comments. We all understand that we have always learned from teachers who were tough to us, is it not? Then selection of supervisor is very important. You have to do a little research here also, either on internet or through talking to the current students. Normally what I feel that a brand new or a retired professor normally is not a obvious choice. Okay. Or you may think that dean or head or chair, that should not be the obvious choice because they are normally busy in their administrative work. Okay, they will not be able to give time. So who can be the best supervisor? A professor who can sit with you, work with you, who can teach you, criticize you, guide you, help you, who is there with you all the time. He or she is the best supervisor because it is like parenting, is it not? तो जब छोटा बच्चा होता है तो उसके पेरेंट्स उसको हर चीज सिखाते हैं, हर चीज के लिए ट्रेनिंग देते हैं. एंड the vision of a supervisor is that जैसे parents what they want, that finally at the end they want their child to be independent. अगर उंगली पकड़ के चलाना सिखा रहे हैं तो what they want that एक दिन वो बच्चा उनकी उंगली छुड़ा के भागेगा, तब पेरेंट्स को अच्छा लगता है. उसी तरह से सुपरवाइजर को भी तभी अच्छा लगता है जब आप उसको छुड़ा करके अपनी रिसर्च खुद करना शुरू कर दो. Then you don't need any guidance, and that time the supervisor your supervisor will be the happiest man on the earth when you are doing research on your own. So the objective of PhD work, a PhD program, is to make you an independent researcher. So it is okay if your supervisor is not your friend, is it not? But finally, at the end, you should be an independent researcher after your PhD. Coursework, this is also very important. In the coursework, what actually you learn, sometimes I find that people do the coursework just for the sake of the completion of the minimum requirement. 10 credit, 12 credit, 12 credit they have to complete. So for that purpose, they take the coursework. This is not true. This should not happen actually. It is not just completing your credit requirements. So coursework should be related to your dissertation work. Suppose you want to work in the field of probability and statistics, then you should do a coursework in that field. You want to work in the field of seismic analysis or design, then you should do some coursework related to that field if you have not done in the past. So along with the coursework, you should also do the literature review. And normally a thesis has introduction chapter, literature review chapter, then after that 3 contributing chapters, 2 to 3 depending upon the quantum of work that you have done, and after that conclusion and scope of future work. So by the time you complete your coursework, your 2 chapters should be ready, introduction and literature review. And it is always good to have a manuscript published from your literature review chapter, because you will develop the ability of writing by the time. Although normally it is not counted, the manuscript published from literature review chapter is not counted as a contributing manuscript from your thesis, PhD work, but it is good to publish one paper from your literature review chapter, because that gives the foundation work for your PhD. Okay. Then keep your dissertation topic as narrow as possible. Please remember, you are not going to save the world, and you don't want to spend 10 years, 20 years of your PhD for your PhD, is it not? So there is a research life, or there is a research life even after PhD. And after that, you can go out and save the world. There is no issue. But then a well-defined 3 to 4 research objectives with defined outcomes. And from those objectives, quality publications is the requirement for a PhD. Okay. So normally 2 to 3 journal publications with 1 or 2 conference publication is sufficient for your PhD, getting your PhD degree. So when it comes to journal paper publication, as I mentioned in my previous session also, the 3 factors are very important. Normally I consider when I supervise my students, it should be peer reviewed, unpaid, and indexed. Okay. Then only I consider that publication done is quality publication. Then when you start working on your objectives, you parallelly work on your objectives. What do you mean by parallel working? Parallel working means you work on your first objectives, write a manuscript, submit to a journal, and that manuscript will take 2 to 3 months to get reviewed, and then in 2 to 3 months you can work on your second objective, write manuscript and submit to a journal. By the time you will get review of the manuscript submitted on your first objective. So start working on that. 2 to 3 months you will spend time on your first manuscript. By the time you will finish the work on your first manuscript, the review of second manuscript will come. Okay, so like that you have to do parallel processing, and then only it will be possible for you to finish all your objectives in time and getting the manuscript published on time. So this will help in two ways. Like your work will be reviewed timely by the experts, the third party, and this review will help to track your work, rectify your errors in the initial stages itself. Otherwise, suppose after 3 4 years of PhD work, some experts identify some issue with your research work done, then the complete 3 4 years get waste. So you have to review your comments very seriously. Even if the manuscript is rejected, then try submitting in some other journal. Okay, now we always start from the top, and then if the reviewer or the editor has not given an opportunity to address that comment and resubmit for re-review, then you have to think about other journal. But then when you submit that manuscript to other journal, the manuscript will be substantially improved and it will have a higher chance of getting published. So acceptance and rejections are part and parcel of PhD life. So you should enjoy your progress and your improvement. And perseverance and finishing the job are two important traits and qualities of a PhD scholar. So it's okay to fail, but it is not okay to quit. So be accountable and keep your supervisor also accountable. You have to regularly meet your supervisor, fix a meeting and stick to that. To meet, to discuss. And also give time to your supervisor to review your work. ऐसा नहीं सुबह दिया और शाम को पीछे पड़ गए. You have to give time to your supervisor also. I have seen many of the students, the last date of submission of the progress report will be 17th, and then they will submit the report on 16th, and they want their supervisor to get the work done in one day. The work that you could not do in 4 months, you want your supervisor to do in one day. That is the dilemma of the situation. So give time to your supervisor. Then prepare checklist so that you can focus not only on next step. Okay, so here you have to concentrate on the next step or the hurdle that you are going to face. Don't see the entire dissertation life. So whenever you climb a mountain, what do? You just concentrate on the next step, is it not? If you see the top, what will happen? You will lose your concentration, or sometimes even you get into depression. Okay, so you have to just concentrate on next step. So prepare a checklist with the timeline. Okay, and those checklists can be shared. These are the checklists. Okay, so you have to tick. Your proposal or research design has been approved. Mark yes. Tick. The consent has been obtained from the institutional review board or whatever you have in your institution. Check it. Pilot study has been done or not. Data collection, which is one of the most important part of any PhD work, whether it has been done or not. Analysis, data analysis. Then writing part. You have to write with a purpose. Okay. And defend your thesis has been defended or not, and then finally finish. Yes, done. Okay. So these are the lifeline of a PhD scholar. Then promote your work. Talk to others. How you can do that? You will be able to do when you attend the conferences, seminars, workshop, meet the experts, talk to people. We are good in academics. Okay. So people who are working in your field, they can give you the opinion and feedback very easily. Become member of professional organization. This is very important. To connect with the professionals, you have to become member of professional societies, organization. Upgrade, review, revise your strategy whenever it is required. And the two parameters that are very important for the successful performance of your work in the PhD program, your hard work and your persistence. Okay. Now, this particular diagram is very important where I was talking about the factors that actually affect the timely completion of your PhD work. And it looks a bit complicated, but it will be easy for you to understand if I explain. This is based on Bayesian networking. Okay, and you will see this point here. This is the timely completion of PhD work. And these are the factors that are responsible. PhD completion, and four major factors are important here. What are those four factors? Your personal aspects, your skills, incoming skills, your research project, okay, and your research environment. Can you see all these four factors? PhD completion, timely PhD completion, your incoming skills, your personal aspects, your research environment, and your research projects. These four major factors are important, and other factors are, like suppose if I talk about incoming skills. So what are the factors that are responsible or that will contribute to your inner skills? English, your writing skills, your maths, your discipline expertise, and your time management skill. Okay, that is very important. These five factors that contributes towards your incoming skills. Similarly, your personal aspects in which your attitude, your financial circumstances, and then your personal circumstances. In personal circumstances, your continuity of studies. Okay, domestic circumstances, emotional stage. So many things are, so many factors contribute to your PhD work. Similarly, for research environment, your researchers, your peers, your PhD students. Okay, then location, study location. So many things are important. Okay, then your research resource availability. When we talk about resource availability, that also depends upon study location. That depends upon your library access, your physical resources, your computer access, general research experience. Okay, your supervisor is very important because finally it contributes to the research project. So interest, written research type, your supervisor की expertise on the topic, student history, uska access, whether your supervisor is accessible to you or not, and expectations, supervision expectations. These are all supervisors factors that are related to supervisor. So like that, many factors you have to study, understand, and analyze. Okay. And the reference for this is already given. I will share the manuscript related to this topic, this particular slide, and you can go through in detail. Is it not? Now, major takeaway of my presentation of the day is plan your years. Okay, 3 years or 4 year plans should be there. I'll share what that plan should be. Then enlist support. Fix your priorities. Your familiarity to software, you know that most of the 80% times you will be using softwares like to create diagrams, to create pictures, to get the data from the literature, or sometimes you have to analyze, like suppose you have performed an experimental work, but then you want to do parametric study. For that you have to use softwares. For simulation purpose, you use software. So software familiarity is very important. Networking is very important, as I mentioned. Your professional connects. Okay, then synergies. Your relationship with your other peers, PhD scholars, experts, उनके साथ synergy बना के चलना. Very important factor. Truth can wait. So don't plan anything that takes your life. Understand the procedures and rules of your university. And whenever you leave the university, leave with good terms. So there is a saying that a PhD is so much more than a degree. It can break you down into your most vulnerable form, but has the potential to build you back together to become a resilient, determined, humble, and knowledgeable researcher. This process takes time and patience. So please do not give up on yourself. It is not just about getting the degree, but it is about becoming who you are meant to. So as I mentioned, the objective of a PhD work is you to become a good researcher. So with these words, I thank you. These are some of the references of my presentation. I took content from these published manuscripts, like 9 things you should consider before embarking on a PhD, 10 tips to finishing your PhD faster. Okay, 10 simple rules for finishing your PhD, and factors affecting timely completion of a PhD work. I am going to share all these 4 manuscripts in the group. With that, I thank you. I was talking about the timeline. I would like to share the timeline for part-time and full-time PhD scholar. So how you can finish your PhD in 4 years if you are a part-time PhD scholar, or 3 years if you are a full-time PhD scholar. So I have prepared a timeline I am going to share with you. So any question that you have, you can put in the chat box.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, I'm Nitesh Jain and I am working in Delhi-Mumbai Expressway.
Okay.
And I have done MTech also in 2017.
Okay.
And I want to become a PhD scholar also. So any good opportunity to take the admission in part-time PhD?
Yes, definitely you can. Where are you located right now?
Sir, I'm in Kota, Rajasthan, sir.
Okay, so there are many
Yes, sir.
institutions in Rajasthan itself, in Kota. So you can, if you think that you are going to stay for the next 3-4 years, 5 years, then you can find out any institution near to your place, and you can start your PhD as a part-time PhD
Sir,
student.
sir, I read the article of the UGC chairman.
Mhm.
He said that a working professional can do part-time PhD or any rules are coming now.
No, those rules are there for government people who are working in the government setup. Is it not? Because I have seen many of my students working in the government organization. They are not getting the leave for their coursework. So that is the major challenge
Okay.
for them to do the PhD work. But when you are in the private setup and enrolling for your PhD program, we are already running part-time PhD program for PhD scholars. Sorry, for working professionals. So there is no issue. You can do that. It's only for the government people, like government organization में क्या हो रहा है कि चैलेंज आ रहे हैं, वो कोर्स वर्क के लिए उनको 6 महीने का छुट्टी जो है मिलता ही नहीं है, तो उसकी वजह से जो है वो कोर्स वर्क कर नहीं पाते हैं, फिर उनको दिक्कत होती है पीएचडी करने में, क्योंकि कोर्स वर्क नहीं करते हैं तो पीएचडी नहीं हो पाती.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, sir. This side is Piyush. I have a same related question. Like I'm in an industry working from past 15 years. तो आपने स्टार्टिंग में मेंशन किया था कि एकेडमिक्स के लिए ही पीएचडी मेनली हेल्पफुल है एंड रिसर्चर्स के लिए. सो अगर इंडस्ट्री में है सो
नहीं मैंने ऐसा
आई मेंट नहीं, आई होप कि मेरे लिए अब रेलेवेंट है या नहीं, बिकॉज मेरे पास रिसर्च एक्सपीरियंस है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया में 4 years का. देन आई लेफ्ट द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया रिसर्च एक्सपीरियंस, आई वेंट इनटू इंडस्ट्री. तो अभी मेरे पास 15 साल का टोटल एक्सपीरियंस हो गया है. हालांकि मेरे पास पब्लिकेशंस हैं, इंटरनेशनल पब्लिकेशंस हैं 10, बट स्टिल आई फील कि रिक्वायरमेंट एंड हाउ इट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प मी इन फ्यूचर.
नहीं, देखिए ऐसा है ना कि जो आपका एक्सपीरियंस है, जो वर्किंग एक्सपीरियंस है, वो आप जो एक पीएचडी करने के लिए जो एक क्वालिटी, जो ट्रेड, ठीक है, क्वालिटी ट्रेड्स चाहिए, वो आपके अंदर है कि नहीं? क्योंकि आप देखिए पीएचडी एक रिक्वायर्स, जैसे मैंने बात करी ना, परसिवरेंस एंड पेशेंस, ठीक है. तो अगर आपको लगता है कि आपको पीएचडी करने से एक तो होता है इंटेलेक्चुअल सेटिस्फैक्शन, जैसे मैंने बात करी ना, पीएचडी करने के बहुत सारे इंटेंशंस होती हैं. उन इंटेंशंस में से एक है कि इंटेलेक्चुअल सेटिस्फैक्शन. अगर आपको लगता है कि आपको इससे इंटेलेक्चुअल सेटिस्फैक्शन मिलेगा तो आप करें, है कि नहीं? आपके अंदर कोई एक इच्छा है, आपको सेटिस्फैक्शन मिलेगा कि आप पीएचडी कर लिए हैं, आपको सेटिस्फैक्शन मिले तो करें. देयर इज नो इशू.
राइट. ओके, थैंक यू सर.
या थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Amit sir,
जी
Ram from Bhopal. Hello sir.
जी.
Sir, my question is how to select a topic. Just you have said कि supervisor's interest is also there.
नहीं, देखिए ऐसा होता है ना कि होता क्या है कि जब भी हम पीएचडी के लिए ज्वाइन करते हैं तो हम पहले एक बार जरूर रिव्यू कर लेते हैं. हम नॉर्मली उसी सुपरवाइजर को ज्वाइन करते हैं जिसका रिसर्च इंटरेस्ट मेरे रिसर्च इंटरेस्ट से मैच करता है कि नहीं? तो दैट इज द फर्स्ट स्टेप. As I mentioned in my presentation, that is the first step. You should match the interest. आप अलग-अलग यूनिवर्सिटीज में आजकल वेबसाइट पे भी सारी इंफॉर्मेशन रहती हैं अवेलेबल, जहाँ पे सुपरवाइजर, उसका रिसर्च इंटरेस्ट, उसके पब्लिकेशंस प्लस उसका एकेडमिक प्रोफाइल, वो सब मेंशन होता है. तो फर्स्ट यू ट्राई टू सी दैट हु इज द सुपरवाइजर हु कैन हेल्प यू इन योर पीएचडी एंड उसका रिसर्च इंटरेस्ट आपके रिसर्च इंटरेस्ट से मैच करे. If you have that opportunity, it's always good. Otherwise, sometimes क्या होता है कि वो opportunity available नहीं होती है, तो फिर हमें रिसर्च सुपरवाइजर के इंटरेस्ट से अपना इंटरेस्ट मैच कराना पड़ता है, या अपने मेरे इंटरेस्ट से रिसर्च सुपरवाइजर का इंटरेस्ट मैच होना चाहिए, लेकिन क्योंकि फाइनली देखिए इंटेंशन क्या है, दोनों का सेम है. उन्हें सुपरवाइज करना है, आपने पीएचडी करनी है. अगर आप टाइमली आउटपुट दे रहे हैं, रिजल्ट दे रहे हैं, तो किसी को कोई भी प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती है, ना सुपरवाइजर को ना आपको. Is it not?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, one more question is there, sir, please.
हाँ जी.
Regarding softwares, you have said.
Mhm.
So for data analytics and other things in thesis work, which softwares are generally used, sir?
डेटा एनालिटिक्स के लिए जो है जो सॉफ्टवेयर अभी जैसे आर सॉफ्टवेयर है, ठीक है, वो यूज कर सकते हैं. और स्टैटिस्टिकल एनालिसिस, स्टैटिस्टिकल टूल्स के लिए बहुत सारे सॉफ्टवेयर हैं. अगर आप चाहेंगे तो मैं आपको अलग से जो है इसके बारे में डिटेल में सॉफ्टवेयर बता सकता हूँ, बता दूंगा.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So I was just trying to show you the timeline of a PhD scholar. Let me share my screen. So can you see the PDF file here? So
Yes,
if
yes,
you,
sir.
yeah, if you are a PhD, part-time PhD scholar, so these are the steps that is there. Like these are the timelines, and as I mentioned, that the first step is PhD registration and completion of your coursework. तो उसमें जो expected activity है वो है आपका PhD coursework. It should immediately start once you have done the PhD registration and you are enrolled for the program. So उसको immediately start करें. Don't delay. I have seen many students, they will delay for 1 semester, 2 semester. तो आपकी PhD फिर वो 1 साल shift हो जाती है. So it is always better to complete your coursework within 1 semester or 2 semester maximum. तो वो 1 साल का हम timeline लेके चलते हैं. When you are doing your coursework, you should also ensure that parallelly you start working on your broad research area, and you should also work on your literature survey. Parallelly उस पे भी आप काम करें. सिर्फ ये नहीं कि हम कोर्स वर्क कर रहे हैं तो सर बैठे हुए आराम से, ठीक है, कोर्स वर्क कर रहे हैं, ऐसा नहीं. When you are doing, because you will be taking only 1 or 2 courses in a semester, so जो आपका वीकली एंगेजमेंट होता है वो नॉर्मली 5 आवर्स या 6 आवर्स का होता है. उसके बाद आप वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल हैं तो 9 to 5 जॉब भी कर रहे होंगे, बट आफ्टर दैट एवरी डे यू हैव टू स्पेंड 2 to 3 आवर्स फॉर योर PhD शाम के टाइम. That should be the commitment, and in those 2 3 hours 4 hours you should spend time on literature review, literature survey, your broad research area जिसमें आप extensive literature survey करें, ताकि जब next step में हम बात करते हैं after the completion of the coursework you have to finalize your research topic, okay, based on extensive literature review that you have done, and you have to submit your research proposal. So in 1.5 years, means the 3rd semester should be devoted to this task. Okay, so here the expectations are research scholars should concentrate on preparing a research proposal and presenting the same to SRC, school research committee होती है या आपके यहाँ जो committee हो उसमें, and then get it approved. So this includes all aspects of your research, your feasibility studies, your availability of infrastructure facilities, resources, everything is comprehensively included in the research plan. And by the time it is also expected that your manuscript form literature review gets published. And when it comes to publication, it should be in peer reviewed journal, okay, indexed in Scopus. Normally हम Q1 Q2 की बात करते हैं, Q1 Q2 कैटेगरी का हो वो जर्नल या SCI इंडेक्स जर्नल हो. तो इस 1.5 ईयर में आपका ये टास्क क्लियर है. आपने कोर्स वर्क करना है और you have to complete your literature review part, submit your research proposal, get 1 manuscript published from your literature review work, and then you start working on your objectives, because in your research proposal you identify the research objectives and then you start working on your research objectives. So after research proposal, scholars should start working on the objectives and produce results as per expectations, okay. And parallelly, as I mentioned, scholars should also try to publish the work in peer reviewed unpaid index journals, so that you get the constant review of the work that you have done. Okay, and in as I mentioned that every institution has their own expectations from the PhD work. Normally 2 journal publication, 1 conference paper is considered to be sufficient in any private institution, but then you have to see your research ordinance and your supervisor expectation in this regard. Okay, it's not a hard and fast and uniform rule for all institutions. Okay, so you spend 2 years because you are a part-time PhD scholar, so you can spend 2 years working on your objectives. So after first, second, third, the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th semester, like you can spend, and then in 8th semester you start working on your thesis writing and submission of work. So 1 semester should be only given to writing thesis and submission. So once you have submitted the thesis, the job from your part is over. So it's a 8 semester 4-year program for part-time PhD scholar. जब हम full time PhD scholar की बात करते हैं तो टाइमलाइन वही है, एक्सपेक्टेशंस वही है, बट टाइम थोड़ा सा कम हो जाता है, श्रिंक हो जाता है, क्योंकि हम चाहते हैं कि कोर्स वर्क जो फुल टाइम PhD स्कॉलर है वो 1 सेमेस्टर में ही कर ले, उसके बाद सेकेंड सेमेस्टर में वो अपने रिसर्च टॉपिक पे और लिटरेचर रिव्यू पे कंसंट्रेट करके only 1.5 years he should spend on objectives. He or she should spend on objectives and should work on your manuscript. So 3rd, 4th, 5th semester 1.5 साल में 1.5 years में they should complete their objective, working on the objectives, writing the thesis, publication of thesis, and after that in 6th semester they should concentrate on thesis writing and submission. So this is the timeline for full-time PhD scholars in 3 years. So this was from my side. I hope you enjoyed this session and you got sufficient information useful for you.
Sir, can we get this PDF, sir?
Yes, definitely. I'll share all the PDF. I will also request you all to kindly give the feedback for this session so that I can generate certificate of participation to you all. I'll share the link just now. By the time, if you have any question, you can ask, you can discuss.
Sir, regarding topic, my question is, sir, जैसे currently I've been registered in Anna University and topic is we have taken. So can we change topic with discussion with the supervisor, sir? As my supervisor said that.
Yes. If the possibility is there, but see, thing is that कि अगर आप topic change करते हो, topic change करने का भी एक timeline है ना, during when you are preparing your research proposal, है कि नहीं? उस समय अगर आप टॉपिक चेंज करते हैं, कुछ डिसाइड करते हैं और बाद में आपने उसको चेंज करने को सोचा, सो दैट इज अ बिट पेनफुल प्रोसेस एंड एक्सरसाइज, बिकॉज सी आपका माइंडसेट चेंज हो जाता है. इसलिए व्हेनेवर आई से व्हेन यू आर फाइनलाइजिंग योर टॉपिक यू शुड बी अटैच्ड विद दैट, है कि नहीं? उसको चेंज करना, if that flexibility is given, normally the flexibility is given by the research institution or the technical institution, तो वो आप कर सकते हैं with the consent of your supervisor. That is not an issue. उसमें तो issue नहीं है, but मैं इसको least preference देता हूँ टॉपिक को चेंज करना.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, this side is Piyush. I have a question. Like in my MS by research, I did a massive research work in my master's thesis only. So is it possible, like in PhD, I'll do a continuation of that, a very minimal, more addition to my previous thing, and I'll do multiple usage of software in PhD, like data analysis by using different softwares. I'll do the differentiation from different softwares in PhD, and that can be granted easily by doing differentiation with different softwares and all.
इसमें जो है, I have some reservations and observations. See, if this is an extension of your MTech work, and as you said that you have already done extensive work in your MTech, and you want to add minimal in your PhD, but the situation should be reverse. Is it not? You should have done minimal work in your MTech, and then you want to do extensive in PhD. Then it is okay. Okay.
Right.
you know that, see, in that time duration you have to publish. So finally your manuscript or your work should get published from your PhD contribution, not from your MTech contribution. ये थोड़ा सा conflict कभी-कभी हो जाता है. पता लगा काम आप PhD कर रहे हैं लेकिन मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट आपकी MTech की पब्लिश हो रही है, ठीक है, फिर वो PhD में काउंट नहीं होती है, तो वो चैलेंज कभी-कभी आ जाता है. इसीलिए हम थोड़ा सा इसको जो है कोशिश करते हैं कि PhD should not be an extension until unless you are doing extensive work in your PhD और आपको लगता है कि आप सब्सटेंशियल कंट्रीब्यूशन कर सकते हैं अगर इसी टॉपिक को आप आगे कैरी फॉरवर्ड करते हैं और आप इसमें अच्छा खासा कंट्रीब्यूशन PhD में दे सकते हैं, तब तो इट इज ओके.
Okay, and sir, if the point of using different softwares and do the analysis of the data, same data, will that be worthy enough to do in that PhD?
See, आपकी एक्सपेक्टेशंस क्या है? मतलब डिफरेंट सॉफ्टवेयर यूज करके अगर आपको सेम रिजल्ट मिल रहा है, ठीक है, तो देयर इज नो पॉइंट.
No, but we'll get different way of thinking that the results. I have so much data. So if I'm trying to use different softwares like neural networks or R or anything or SPSS, so I can do the analysis part in different another manners as well of the same data.
देखिए ऐसा है ना, कोई देखिए आप कभी-कभी क्या होता है कि डिफरेंट सॉफ्टवेयर को यूज करके हम जो सॉफ्टवेयर के रिजल्ट्स का है वो कंपैरिजन करते हैं, ठीक है, और उसको बताते हैं कि भाई विच वन इज गिविंग द बेस्ट रिजल्ट. दैट इज वन थिंग. हमें हमेशा PhD में कंट्रीब्यूशन देखना है कि व्हाट एग्जैक्टली यू आर गोइंग टू कंट्रीब्यूट. देखिए डेटा आपके पास है, सॉफ्टवेयर आपके पास है, आप यूज करके एनालिसिस करके सॉफ्टवेयर के थ्रू आप उस रिजल्ट लेके आएंगे, ठीक है, और वो बट इज इट गोइंग टू गिव एकेडमिक कंट्रीब्यूशन? क्या वो एकेडमिक वर्ल्ड में किसी तरह का कोई नया कंट्रीब्यूशन दे रहा है?
Okay.
वो चीज आपको सोचनी पड़ेगी, वो एंगल, दैट एंगल यू हैव टू थिंक. अगर वो सिंपली इनपुट है, आउटपुट है और उसमें कुछ आपका कोई कंट्रीब्यूशन नहीं है, तो वो फिर दैट विल नॉट बी काउंटेड एज ए कंट्रीब्यूशन और आपको फिर वो मैन्युस्क्रिप्ट पब्लिश कराने में आपको दिक्कत होगी. यू विल बी फेसिंग डिफिकल्टी, क्योंकि वहां पे आपको कंटेंट की क्वालिटी का होना बहुत जरूरी है.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So let me just check. Yeah. In the chat box, I think I should say thank you to everyone. You were there with me for 1.5 hours, and I'm sure that the session was useful and fruitful for you. So with that comment and with that remark, I'm going to close this session. For any question, you can still ask in the chat box, or maybe you can ask in the WhatsApp group, which is there, and we can have a fruitful discussion over there. So I'm not going to remove, or I'm not going to remove anybody, or I'm not going to remove the group. So I'm sure that the group which is created is going to be useful, helpful, and fruitful for future collaboration, future research. With that,